The following program contains coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
On this edition of The Fifth Estate, he's one of the wealthiest business tycoons in Canada. But when Michael DeGroote gambled a fortune on the casino business in the Caribbean, he found himself in an ugly battle with a shady cast of characters. Two brothers with a dubious past.
I opened the envelope, there's a letter inside. It says, there's 5 bullets here, another 5 to go in you and your brother's head.
And a leading mafia godfather.
I think somebody better get the straight goods to Mike and tell him, congratulations, you're now in bed with the mob.
Fucking Rob.
The billionaire DeGroote was caught on tape.
I shouldn't be around. I shouldn't be in business. Fucking slime bag.
Among his associates, the talk turned to murder.
I like to put fucking them right down the mouth of the fucking inside.
Tonight, a joint investigation by the Fifth Estate and the Globe and Mail, presented by Terence McKenna of CBC's The National.
Michael DeGroote travels in style on his private Bombardier Global Express jet. In early 2011, he was on his way to the Dominican Republic. After a lifetime of lucrative business deals in Canada and abroad, he was looking for new investment opportunities. He was about to launch a bold casino gambling venture with two brothers from Toronto, Francesco and Antonio Carbone.
I can actually say to you that at one time, Michael DeGroote was a second father to me because I spoke to him 2 and 3 and 4 times a day. And he was a voice in my ear, a thought in my head.
The Carbones say they were on board that private jet and that DeGroote played the gracious host.
Oh, it was beautiful. Comfortable, drink service. There was even he says, if you want to take a nap, Frank, you can go lie down in my bed. I put it in on purpose. I said, no, it's okay, I'm okay.
The Dominican Republic looked like fertile ground for a new business venture. Tourism was suffering, unemployment was high, government regulation almost non-existent. Gambling has always been a kind of favored addiction here. Saturday night at the local cockfights. Bets are even accepted from credit cards. Roosters with razor blades taped to their feet fight to the death. Michael DeGroote and the Carbone brothers had their eyes on a bigger prize. The idea was to buy up the larger casinos on the island, bring them up to modern standards, and turn them into a Caribbean version of Las Vegas, a money generator of stunning proportions. The Carbones had developed a computerized gambling machine that had wowed Michael DeGroote when he first laid eyes on it in Canada.
He was very eager to do this business because obviously he knows where the money is. Everybody gambles. In good times or in bad times, everybody gambles.
The Carbones were impressed with Michael DeGroote's personal story. The Drive to Succeed, the Joy of Giving Back is a glowing video biography DeGroote commissioned himself. It tells an amazing rags-to-riches tale. His family had arrived in Canada from Belgium after the Second World War. Michael had quit school at age 14 to work on the family tobacco farm, had made and lost his first million before age 29. He bought a trucking company called Laidlaw Transport in 1959.
Laidlaw was a good company. First year, made about $60,000. 1960, I'll never forget, we made $100,000 before tax.
DeGroote later got into the garbage business and made a fortune at that.
Henry Waschuk settles over the ball.
He owned the Hamilton Tiger Cat football team for 5 years in the mid-70s. His career was not without blemish. After he sold Laidlaw, he and others paid $23 million to settle insider trading allegations without any admission of guilt. The settlement was then the largest in Canadian history. He retired to a giant estate off the coast of Bermuda to escape Canadian taxes, but quickly became bored and went back to deal-making. He bought a large stake in Blockbuster Video from the company owner.
I said, is there any more of your Blockbuster stock left? Because, of course, it keeps climbing and climbing. And so I bought about $15 million worth of options just over dinner. And a year later, made about $60 million on them.
DeGroote is lionized at McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario, which named buildings after him after he made some of the largest school donations in Canadian history. By 2011, however, Michael DeGroote was concentrating on how to add to his fortune. Antonio Carbone claims the casino deal was sealed aboard DeGroote's 170-foot private yacht, the Dream. Carbone said he was very impressed when he came aboard.
The yacht was a 5-star hotel. It was something that blew my mind. It was like I had 4 different eyes and I was looking around trying to absorb it. A massive family room, a dining room, a kitchen, a giant-sized TV screen. It was really something that only a guy like me would see in the movies.
According to the final negotiated deal, the Carbones would retain 85% of the stock of the new company, Dream Casinos. Michael DeGroote would have profit-sharing rights, and in his words, was simply a creditor. The result, while pouring millions into the deal, DeGroote would remain in the background.
So at the end of the day, he was not my partner. He was my financier. What does that really mean to me? I'm not going to say anything. You don't want me to say anything? No problem. I won't say anything.
Michael DeGroote's old friend Andrew Pajak would be named president of the new company. It was Pajak who had introduced the Carbones to Michael DeGroote.
The foresight of making Mr. Pajak the president, supposedly, was that he was a more polished CEO and president than both my brother and I.
The casino gambling business does have a bad reputation in the Caribbean. There has been a long history of mafia involvement. For decades, cash that was raised through prostitution and drug sales has been washed through casinos here, and the islands have been used as a transit point for South American drugs being shipped north.
I'm sure you've heard the objection that the gambling business in the Dominican Republic is very heavily infiltrated by organized crime, and that it is being used as money laundering by organized crime.
It was.
And didn't that give you pause, frankly?
No, not at all.
Absolutely
because
not.
that's not what we came here for.
The casino environment.
The Carbones claimed they had a plan to clean up Dominican casinos.
At one time, Dominican Republic still had that ensemble, like you said, of organized crime running the casinos. Vegas was very much like that. They cleaned it up when corporations came in. That's what we were doing here in Dominican Republic. We took every facility and did everything like Vegas did.
But just how clean were the Carbones and their partner Pajak? Michael DeGroote may now wish he did more to check out the people to whom he was lending so much money. The Carbones had a tobacco business which manufactured and imported Don Carbone cigars and cigarillos into Canada. The business collapsed when authorities raided their Toronto headquarters in December 2009, suspecting tax fraud. 2 unregistered handguns were found, one in Antonio Carbone's filing cabinet, the other loaded with the serial number filed off under Francesco Carbone's desk. The brothers say they had received death threats.
Well, I was at the office one day. The mail comes. I open the envelope. There's a letter inside. It says, there's 5 bullets here, another 5 to go in you and your brother's head.
Okay, so your reaction to this was to buy guns?
There's some lunatic out there, or multiple lunatics out there, that want to put 5 bullets in our head. And unfortunately, we made a decision to purchase firearms to protect ourselves.
And they were an insurance to protect ourselves and our family.
You guys seem to be trying to convince me this was a good idea. In retrospect, don't you think this was kind of a bad idea?
Absolutely.
It was a terrible idea. But you asked me a question, why did you do it? And I gave you the explanation of why it was done.
Now, keep in mind,
The Carbone brothers served 60 days in jail for weapons charges. They say Michael DeGroote was not worried about their gun convictions.
no,
Not at all.
DeGroote moved here with armed guards.
Not at all.
Guns by no means made Mr. DeGroote nervous at all.
At the same time Michael DeGroote got involved with the Carbones, there is evidence they were involved with an internet gambling business called Platinum Sportsbook. They deny it. Police later publicly described Platinum as a joint operation of the Mafia and the Hells Angels motorcycle gang. Regardless of their checkered past, down in the Dominican Republic in 2011, the Carbones' new company, Dream Corporation, was created. Michael DeGroote advanced more than $10 million to start buying casinos around the country. Before long, there were 5,000 employees and a new corporate jet to run the brothers around, a $2 million Hawker 800. Through the winter and spring of 2012, Michael DeGroote continued to pump money into the purchase and renovation of gaming facilities, a total of $112 million. What happened to that $112 million Michael DeGroote lent the Carbone brothers is now the central question in a legal battle being fought out in the Ontario courts. The shining Caribbean dream would turn into a nightmare. There would be accusations of bad faith, fraud, and even conspiracy to murder. The court record includes hours of audio tapes in which you can hear both sides plotting against each other. How did one of Canada's richest and most successful businessmen get into this mess? DeGroote says the trouble started in September 2012, when he first heard rumors that the Carbones were cheating him. DeGroote claims he heard that the brothers were overpaying for casinos and renovations and pocketing kickbacks. He testified, "I was told the Carbones were stealing, that the Carbones were skimming off the top and bumping up expenses in the middle." He claims the Carbones stalled and evaded when he demanded to see the company books. The reports of court-appointed receivers raised troubling questions. You know, when I read the receivers' reports, that they suggest that you constantly made excuses to not provide financial reports.
No, there's a big difference between monthly reports and the type of information that Mr. DeGroote was asking for and not entitled to.
But in late 2014, a court-appointed receiver reported that of the $48.6 million of Mr. DeGroote's money used to buy and renovate casinos, $21.7 million is unaccounted for.
I started being very, very concerned about their honesty, their integrity.
Peter Schonecker served as a consultant to the Dream Corporation in its early days. He has his own checkered past. A former Ontario Crown attorney, he had his license to practice law revoked in 2008 after his conviction in a money laundering scheme. Schonecker says he came to the conclusion that the Carbones were defrauding Michael DeGroote.
I started being very concerned about some of the tactics that they seemed to be taking with Mike. And I contacted Mike DeGroote and I said, I've been doing some work with the Carbones and, gee, Mike, I don't like what I see and I'm concerned. And he said, well, he was concerned too.
Andrew Pajak, DeGroote's friend and Dream Casino president, was also now furious with the Carbones. He expressed his feelings in one of a series of secretly recorded conversations filed in court by the Carbones.
They want to fuck my party. He's 80 years old. He gives away $250, $300 million to charities. Michael DeGroote School of Medicine, Michael DeGroote School of Business. And they want to fuck him? Fuck you.
Turns out Andrew Pajak, too, has a dubious past. In the 1980s, he was caught up in a police investigation of a notorious garbage business called Super Disposal that was described in court as a mass of criminal activity from bottom to top. Several people involved in this story told us that Pajak frequently bragged of his mafia connections. In one recorded conversation, Pajak claimed that he laundered money for the mafia.
I was involved in real estate. I used to take care of a lot of the mob's money, investments, because I do everything straight. I give you fight. I know you're right. I don't play fucking games with two fucking guineas.
When we come back, Michael DeGroote and Andrew Pajak decide to go to war against the Carbone brothers. More known criminals are brought in on their side.
I like to put a fucking gun right down there and not the bullet, fuck it inside.
The following program contains coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
The Michael G. DeGroote Senior School.
When the public sees Michael DeGroote, he's almost always giving away money to worthy causes, especially making large contributions to schools and universities.
I am very pleased to be here today at Hillfield Strathallan College to publicly announce our family gift to support the new senior school.
But on May 10, 2013, there was a private meeting at the DeGroote family luxury suite on an upper floor of the Ritz-Carlton building in Toronto, where a very different side of the billionaire was in evidence. To help him in his war against the Carbone brothers, the esteemed business leader met with two former Carbone associates. The first is Peter Schonecker, who had decided to support DeGroote in the coming battle. The second is a man introduced to DeGroote as Sasha Visser, who, unbeknownst to DeGroote, had a long criminal record and had been out of jail less than a year. We found out that Sasha Visser also goes by the name Pavla Kolik, with a Croatian passport to match, and the name Sasha Vujacic with a Canadian passport, and the names Željko Zdaric with a Bosnian passport. He has served time for more than 40 criminal convictions in Canada for fraud, impersonation, assault, and uttering death threats. Sasha Visser made a secret audio recording of the Ritz meeting, in which the men discussed how to take down the Carbone brothers.
What are we going to do?
Well, let's put it this way. No two jackasses like that.
I shouldn't be around. I shouldn't be in business.
Well, they shouldn't be around
Sign bags.
is an understatement, right?
Absolutely.
And here's the deal. I'm going to make sure that the Carbones can't even sell chestnuts on the corner of the fucking street.
Well, hopefully he'll be in jail by then.
Fuck jail.
What about
Jail's too nice.
Later, Sasha Visser is offering DeGroote his services as an enforcer.
Look at me. Look at me. I need $500,000 to secure my family. I'm going to go to war for you. Do you know what war means? I'm going to go to DR, where I'm going to carry a gun with a license, and I'm going to change everything in their world.
In that meeting, the talk turns to buying evidence. DeGroote at first says he cannot do that, but then proceeds to negotiate the cost of paying witnesses to testify against the Carbones in court. He settles on a price of $500,000. By the end of the meeting, he again has doubts and says he will have to check the plan with his own lawyer. Peter Schonecker, who was there, also had qualms.
Mike characterized it as buying evidence. And that I recall vividly. And I recall him asking me what I thought of it, and I said, absolutely not.
That would be illegal.
In my opinion.
The three men reconvened in the DeGroote family suite at the Ritz the following day, after DeGroote had been cautioned by his own lawyer.
I'll get right to the point. I got a hold of my lawyer at a cocktail party last night, which he wasn't very happy about. He says it can be done, and there's ways of doing it, but don't you dare do it. There's ways of buying evidence, but it's got to be done right. You should know that.
Later in that meeting, DeGroote is heard hiring Sasha Visser. He offers a down payment of good faith money pending an official contract.
Give me your wiring instructions. Where to send the money to.
Okay.
No strings attached. Not buying anything right now, but you'll keep it in mind in the future. I want to send you $150,000 Monday morning for nothing.
Okay.
When I get things straightened out with the lawyers out to do it, then we'll be in touch, and then we'll make it a deal.
Okay.
But I got to do it right, Eric.
I just...
Near the end of the Ritz meeting, things take a darker turn. DeGroote seems to want to clarify whether or not they are talking about actually murdering the Carbones.
Let me ask you a question. Wouldn't you like to see these cocksuckers sink?
And
You want to make it so they'll never get off a plane? That they're not welcome to the Dominican Republic.
oh, you don't mean wiping them out.
No. But he can, you know what he can do?
Listen, whatever you want done for me, when you tell me what you want done, you'll get done everything that you ask.
Okay.
I don't care what it is.
Through his lawyer, DeGroote said these secret recordings were manipulation created by individuals with a long history of practicing deceit. Michael DeGroote later testified that in the end he never paid Visser any money and didn't want him hired. He acknowledged, however, Visser eventually went to work for the Dream Corporation, doing a good job and putting out fires. For a while, Sasha Visser was trying to play both sides. On one hand, he sent portions of the audio tapes of the Ritz meetings to the Carbones, but then went to work for the DeGroote Pajak side, conspiring against the brothers. He sent them some threatening texts. If history has taught us anything, it is that you can kill anyone. Rats die. 2 rats killed together usually means that you have got rid of the problem. In the summer of 2013, Sasha Visser showed up in the Dominican Republic. This is security video of him in the Punta Cana casino. Dream Corporation would soon give him a legal power of attorney to act on its behalf. He started making death threats to a Dream employee there, and also left threatening messages on Antonio Carbone's phone.
Anthony, can you imagine if somebody attacked your family, your wife or something, would you not answer the phone too? Like, come on, you're a big point. You don't live in some gated community, buddy.
What's your reaction when you hear it?
What's my reaction? What am I gonna do except report it to the police? That's exactly what I did.
You just go on full alert. You become now on full alert. You watch your surroundings, you drive your kids to school, you do everything that is possible to protect your family. It's the only thing I could do. What else could I do?
Death threats were also thrown around by the Dream Casino president, Andrew Pajak. He was caught on tape over several days saying he was going to protect his old friend Michael DeGroote, boasting that he would hunt down the Carbones.
I swear to God, I like to put a fucking gun right down their mouth and pull their fucking hands off. And they're trying to, they're hoping they can kill this guy because of the stress, because he's got cancer, he's 80 years old. Honest to God. Doesn't know me, Paul. I'm gonna crack their fucking heads. I'm gonna get these fucking dirty, scoundrel blocks.
Pajak's tape is Pajak at his true form. 110%. He would boast about it and he would do it. Was it a threat? Absolutely. Did he mean it? Absolutely.
Absolutely. I can tell you exactly what Pajak is capable of. Pajak is capable of hiring somebody to kill you.
No problem.
Hello. Good, how are you, Mike?
Andrew Pajak was also recorded talking to someone named Mike. DeGroote's lawyers claim there is no way of verifying it was Michael DeGroote. Listen to how Pajak discreetly refers to a mysterious new player as the guy from that other province.
I'm just waiting to meet the guy we talked about from, that other province.
Lo and behold, who showed up on the scene around that time? The notorious Montreal Mafia godfather, Vito Rizzuto. When we come back, Michael DeGroote crosses the point of no return on his Dominican adventure. He was now embarked on a dangerous voyage with the Canadian Mafia.
I'm Vito Rizzuto, he says. You know who I am, right?
The following program contains coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Michael DeGroote's promotional video biography shows him zipping around the world on his private jet, meeting with royalty and presidents like George H.W. Bush. He was awarded the Order of Canada by the Governor-General. So it is somewhat shocking to see his name now being connected to a titan of organized crime.
Best lawyer in the country over here.
In 2006, the feared Montreal godfather Vito Rizzuto was extradited to the United States to face trial for his role in 3 gangland murders 25 years earlier. He was convicted and served 5.5 years in a U.S. penitentiary. While Rizzuto was in prison, his enemies moved against his empire. First, his son was murdered, then his brother-in-law disappeared, then his father was murdered. In October 2012, he was released and returned to Canada. A CBC camera was on board the Air Canada flight with him to record the event.
This guy's something.
In the months after Rizzuto's return to Canada, there were 13 other gangland murders which police attributed to the Godfather's vengeance and desire to regain his empire. Rizzuto divided his time between Canada and his second home in the Dominican Republic. For years, the Rizzuto clan has been implicated in drug smuggling from the DR to Canada. Here he is in August 2013. A surveillance camera recorded this visit by Vito Rizzuto to the Dream Casino in Punta Cana. He is accompanied by the Dream Company's new operative, Sasha Visser. The Carbone brothers believe that Vito Rizzuto was brought in to scare them.
When you come from an Italian background, you know who Vito Rizzuto is. You don't have to Google him, for God's sakes.
Because with a name like Vito Rizzuto, the people fear that name.
So he was brought in to intimidate you.
110%.
He was brought in to intimidate us.
An amazing chapter in the Dream Casino story would unfold in an affluent gated community in the Dominican Republic, Casa de Campo. The mafia godfather Vito Rizzuto had long maintained a mansion here. He apparently lined up this house at 24 Barranca Oeste Street for the exclusive use of the new Dream Casino operative, the convicted criminal Sasha Visser.
Sasha Visser was living at this house in Casa de Campo when he was working for Dream Casinos. He didn't have to go far to look for help from the notorious mafia godfather. Vito Rizzuto was living right across the street.
We wanted to ask Sasha Visser about his relationship to Vito Rizzuto, and so we tracked him down to this hotel in Santo Domingo.
I just landed.
Yeah?
I'm going to call you guys. I'm preparing everything. Peter Schonacker will be here. Listen, guys.
We were waiting. You said you were going to...
When CBC producer Harvey Cashore approached him on the street, he was very unhappy about it.
Tell me about Vito Rizzuto. Are you a made man? We've been told... Sources have told us you're a made man in the mob.
Get the fucking camera out of here, because I do have some connections. Get the fucking thing out of here.
What do you mean you have connections? What do you mean you have connections, Sasha? What does that mean? Are you trying to... What are you suggesting by that?
I don't want to be filmed.
In September 2013, Michael DeGroote's good friend, the Dream Casino president Andrew Pajak, arrived in the Dominican Republic by private jet. He reportedly had meetings with Sasha Visser and Vito Rizzuto at an Italian restaurant in Casa de Campo, apparently discussing the possibility of the mafia godfather getting involved in Dream Casinos. Former Crown attorney Peter Schonacker says he attended some of those meetings, including one at Vito Rizzuto's house.
There was going to be a meeting, and Andy Pajak was there. Well, it was clear to me, he had his own part of the house. He had his own residence there. He was staying with Vito. They were obviously close friends. They seemed to have a very close and historic friendship.
The meetings with Vito Rizzuto continued over several days in Casa de Campo. Peter Schonacker said he was astonished to discover at one discussion that the godfather would now have a substantial involvement in Dream Casinos.
I recall Mr. Rizzuto saying that, somebody's got to get this all approved by Mike DeGroote, at which point in time, Andy Pajak said, I speak for Mike DeGroote. It was after that conversation that Mike DeGroote called me and said, Peter, what the hell is Vito Rizzuto doing involved in this? I said, why don't you ask your boy Pajak? He's staying at his house.
Shortly after that meeting, Pajak would fly home to Canada on a private jet. This flight manifest shows that he was accompanied by two Rizzuto associates. One of them, Gianpetro Tiberio, would also become a legal representative of Dream Corporation. Vito Rizzuto himself returned to Canada in October 2013. He apparently decided to reach out to the Carbone brothers to try to negotiate a truce and a new arrangement to allow the casino deal to proceed. After weeks of avoiding contact with the Mafia godfather, Antonio Carbone says he was finally summoned to a meeting with Vito Rizzuto at this coffee shop in Toronto.
When I say summons, I mean that I was told that I should show up for the meeting or else. And since there was an or else, I decided to show up. I'm Vito Rizzuto, he says, you know who I am, right? He made it known that he was a organized crime figure.
Carbone says the negotiation continued that night at the Octagon Steakhouse in Thornhill, Ontario, just north of Toronto, at a dinner in a private room hosted by Vito Rizzuto. This time Andrew Pajak also attended, and Carbone says that Vito Rizzuto had a clear plan.
His intentions were very simple intentions. That his intentions were that he was going to use Dream to launder money. And I said, I'm sorry, I cannot agree to this. And if it's the death of me, then so be it.
And you walked out?
Yeah.
Did you feel at that point your life was in danger?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I still feel that my life's in danger today. And I'll probably feel for the rest of my life that my life is in danger.
Shortly after Antonio Carbone says he rebuffed Vito Rizzuto, in December 2013, things took a violent turn in the Dominican Republic. There was a physical struggle for control of the Dream Casino headquarters between employees loyal to the Carbones and members of the Rizzuto clan. Peter Schonecker said he was distressed about what was going on and thought DeGroote needed to be warned about Rizzuto.
I said, I think somebody better get the straight goods to Mike and tell him, congratulations, you're now in bed with the mob. And I was very frustrated and that Mike was not being told things, because I know Mike to be a good man and a man of good judgment.
What would have happened with Vito Rizzuto and Dream Casinos is a fascinating question that will never be answered. In late December back in Canada, Vito Rizzuto was rushed to a Montreal hospital. He had been fighting cancer for years. 2 days before Christmas, he died. The Carbones believe that had Vito Rizzuto not died, he would now be in control of their company, and they would be dead.
If Vito was still alive, I don't know if you'd be holding this interview, ultimately.
We asked Michael DeGroote about the involvement of Vito Rizzuto. His lawyer answered, Mr. DeGroote has never met Mr. Rizzuto, has never spoken to him, and has never had any association with him of any kind. He also said Mr. DeGroote has never been complicit in members of organized crime becoming involved in any of his business affairs. By December 2013, there were many red flags of organized crime involvement in the Dream Casino business. Michael DeGroote, however, continued to pour money in, another $2.4 million in January and February of 2014. When we come back, the Dream Casino battle takes a murderous turn.
But can we whack them in Dominican? You can't kill them in the Dominican.
The following program contains coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the last year, Michael DeGroote's glittering casino dream for the Dominican Republic took a very dark turn. There have been vicious threats and counter-threats on all sides. In August 2014, a Dream Casino lawyer named Rafael Castro Mercedes was found murdered in his Dominican home, leading to speculation it was tied to his involvement with the casinos. The former lawyer Peter Schonecker was heard on tape saying whoever did it meant it as a warning.
He should learn something from Castro. You fuck people around, and people sometimes do desperate things.
I think what I was saying is, it's like the Wild West in the Dominican Republic. And, people down there resort to violence a lot faster than they do in Canada. And obviously, somebody was angry, very angry, with Mr. Castro, very angry, because it wasn't a simple murder. It was a butchering.
Today in the Dominican Republic, the Dream Casino empire is in tatters. Many employees have been locked out and are complaining that they have been cheated out of salaries. The management is protected by armed guards. Sasha Visser was eventually stripped of his power of attorney to operate on behalf of Dream Casinos. He is now a fugitive from Canadian justice, having fled the country with outstanding criminal charges. In sworn statements, DeGroote has acknowledged that dealing with the criminal Sasha Visser was a serious mistake. He said, "I just want to know where my money is and hopefully get it back."
Hi, Mr. Pajak. I'm Harvey Castro with CBC News.
Andrew Pajak is now also being sued by his old friend Michael DeGroote. We finally caught up with Pajak in a Toronto apartment elevator.
Why did you bring Vito Rizzuto into a Dream Casino?
He refused to speak with us.
What did you tell Mr. DeGroote about Mr. Rizzuto?
Yeah.
The Carbone brothers are fighting to retain control of their casinos, but a succession of court judgments and receiver reports have catalogued numerous financial irregularities in their management of the corporation. One Canadian judge wrote that a huge amount of money appears to have been misused. Another wrote, Michael DeGroote has a strong prima facie case of fraud against the Carbones.
So a prima facie case of fraud, what exactly does that mean for the laymen of the world, like my brother and I? Either there's a fraud or there's not a fraud. Either I'm guilty of murder or I'm not guilty of murder.
Don't you realize that many Canadians will read these receiver reports and numerous allegations in there and come to the conclusion that you stole money from Michael DeGroote?
Nowhere does it say.
Where does it say that? In that report?
That I stole any money.
Where does it say that in the report?
And I challenge anybody to provide proof of any monies that I've stole or disclose any bank accounts that I have not disclosed worldwide or any assets that I have not disclosed worldwide that I have not earned.
In August 2013, a final bizarre twist in the Dream Casino story. Toronto police laid a criminal complaint against Francesco Carbone, an allegation that he plotted to cause the death of Andrew Pajak. The charge was said to be based on a tape recording of him.
To be honest with you, I didn't say anything on the tape. I believe the tape was spliced and cut, and that's what the police got. Because of when I got charged to all the appearances in court, there was no disclosure.
Zero.
Of anything.
So was there really a tape?
I don't even know if there was a tape.
Did you ever say anything that could be taken as a threat against the life of Andrew Pajak?
Absolutely not.
Turns out there is a tape recording of Francesco Carbone apparently plotting to murder Andrew Pajak. A tape we obtained after our interview with the Carbone brothers.
Am I going to be able to do fakek soon? So very soon. Like how soon? 2 weeks.
Once again, the tape was made by the criminal Sasha Visser, a one-time Pajak loyalist who here seems to be trying to sell his services as a hitman to the highest bidder.
What do I have to make Pajak look like? Like just a shooting or just like a...
It doesn't make any difference. After I do what I have to do, bro, they can stop, they can ask me whatever. I don't dispute with this nothing.
But can we lock him in Dominican? You can't kill him in the Dominican.
It's worse, bro.
Why?
It's worse, bro. Because it'll fucking hit every fucking paper.
And just because of all that.
Are you kidding me, bro? You're fucking destroyed. No, but they're fucking, it's not, if you think about it. Fucking here, it's a regular fucking building, big fucking deal. Over there, it's the president of Dream Corporation.
So it's a big deal over there.
Fucking sure. Come on. You know that.
Because Sasha Visser left Canada and the police had no other witnesses, the case against Francesco Carbone fell apart. The charges against him have been withdrawn, and he is suing the Toronto police for wrongful arrest. The brothers are still fighting to retain control of the casinos in the Dominican Republic and are still worried that their own lives are in danger.
I'm here to let you know that I've decided to make a new gift to McMaster School of Medicine. That gift will be in the amount of $50 million.
For his part, Michael DeGroote has continued his philanthropic endeavors, which have received widespread applause. But he is clearly worried about the effect of this affair on his reputation. DeGroote says he was wronged, not a wrongdoer. He declined our interview request, saying, "Frankly, I sincerely regret that I ever agreed to invest in this venture. Indeed, I am embarrassed by it, especially after a lifetime of growing successful businesses." His embarrassment is understandable.